Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. You know, now that the weather is much nicer and people are able to be outside more often, so people have picnics and they eat outside, and it's important to discuss a halacha that could come about making a Suda Shabbos outside on the grass, on the porch, where under the porch there might be some grass, in the bungalow colonies, etc. Obviously, the first halacha that comes to mind is you're not allowed to carry haitzah. So haitzah is obvious an issue that if there is no eruv, you're not carrying out any food. So let's assume there is an eruv, and therefore, or it's somewhere in close by to your house where you're allowed to carry out a porch or whatever. And now, are there any other issues that may be? So anybody who learned any part of Hilchos Shabbos knows that there is a rule called Psik Reisha V'lo Yamus. Psik Reisha V'lo Yamus means, the literal translation, that chop off the head of a snake, won't it die? It's for sure going to happen. It's a term that's used for a malacha, for an action that a person does unintentionally, but because the trickle down must happen when you do A, so he's responsible sometimes for the effect, which is B, even though he had no intention for B. So that's a rule called Psik Reisha. Where does that fit into this eating in the garden? So eating in the garden or in the courtyard where there's grass has two problems. The schlepping of the table, the schlepping of the benches has its problem, which is perhaps if it's heavy and it's dragging on the ground and it's grass and dirt, so it might be chayrish, plowing. But that's a situation for itself. When you're going to sit down and have a meal, and you're going to serve food, and you're going to serve drinks, so the drinks are liquid, obvious. And the liquid might spill onto the ground. When the liquid spills onto the ground, there are two issues. There are two malachas that are happening. Malacha of zeireya, that's how you plant, you water the ground. And at the same time, as liquid gets into the ground, it's also softening the ground, which is a form of chayrish, of charisha, of plowing. And those are two malachas that are prohibited on Shabbos. Now I'm sitting and drinking my Diet Coke. I have no intention, I have no gain with the soda spilling on the floor, the water spilling on the floor. So why should that be a bother? So the answer is, or let's bring one more example. If you have the chalas outside and the bungalow or your house is far away, kind of lazy, you don't want to go into the home to wash your hands for a mitzi, so you want to wash outside. The same question is by sukkah. You want to wash outside near the sukkah, but on the grass. Now, your sole intention is to wash your hands until you're dying. You have no purpose, you have no gain or intention of plowing or planting the ground. But it's happening. It's impossible. It's a sure thing that when you water it, it's a form of zriya. That would be Psik Reisha. Now, Psik Reisha has two levels to it. Has a level, the nichalei, and the loy nichalei. The nichalei means I'm happy, even though I didn't intend for it to plow or for it to be planting. I only want to wash my hands, but if this is something that I'm happy with, it's definitely prohibited. Even the loy nichalei, it's something that you should stay away from, because the fact is, it's a form of zriya and it's a form of charisha. So it gets lahalacha. It gets broken down, as the poskim say, to whose field and which property it's being done. If you're unintentionally watering your field, your grass, you're always happy when your grass looks better. So even though your intention was to wash your hands, but the act of water falling on your grass and your flowers on your trees or what bushes, it's always good for you. You like that. So that's a psik reisha the nichale. That shouldn't happen. If it's in some other territory, some public territory where you don't really care, so it's a less of a problem, but it's still not something that you could ignore that much. The Ramah in Siman Shin Lamed Vav, Seif Gimel, writes, Toiv lahachmir shloilecho beginos. It's best to be machmir and not to eat anywhere out in the garden. Mipnei sha'afim noito yoda b'toicha bayis. Even if you're going to say, washing my hands, which is a cup of water or a quart of water, I'll go into the house and wash my hands by the sink. But the rest of the meal I'll eat by the table outside in the garden. Says the Ramah, even if you're going to wash your hands in the house, kasher lizar shelo yishafchu mayim me'ashulchan. You know what? There's a drink on the table. There's liquid on the table. And that, how are you going to be sure that somebody won't spill its cup of water or the pitcher of water? It's very difficult. Says the Ramah, this is only where there's actually drinks on the table, where there's water on the table. If, however, there's no drink, which, let's be honest, it never happens, so there is an inyan to be machmir. So you clearly see that on a grassy area, on an earth area, based on this Ramah, and the Alter Rebbe brings in Shulchan Aruch also, it's preferable that you don't eat there.